theme that has run through my life and through my connection with OSU has always been the idea of home. When I was 2 years old, unfortunately, my mother passed away, and then I really don't know why, but my father put me in an institution to house a lot of kids who were from a variety of situations, abandonment, orphans. That was my youth, really. It was at times heartbreaking. When I was a high school student, I remember seeing a book of photography, and it was about Oregon, and I was intrigued by it. It had these beautiful pictures of mountains and rivers and valleys, and I told myself, someday I want to go to Oregon. And so when I graduated, I got all my belongings, and I had a few bucks in my pocket, and I got on a Greyhound bus and headed north. I was on that bus for 24 hours and landed in Corvallis. And so I stayed overnight, and the next day I went to the university, and I really didn't know where it was. I just saw a sign that pointed down Jefferson Avenue. And so I just started walking down Jefferson Avenue. I didn't know if I was going to be walking a mile, 5 miles, 10 miles, but fortunately it was only a quarter of a mile or so. And I went to the campus and I looked up the admissions office and talked to just the nicest guy, and told me that if you take an entrance exam, it's required, you have to take an entrance exam on Monday, you're in. It doesn't matter what you score on it, you can come to school here. Also, I got connected with the housing, and throughout my 4 years as an undergraduate, I lived in the dormitories, and I even became a resident assistant in the tower at Weatherford. And I also lived in the dormitories in my graduate work for 2 years, so I actually lived on campus for 6 years. And that was the longest I had lived on any one place in my entire life. I graduated in June of '68, and unfortunately at that time there was a conflict going on in Vietnam, and I became 1A. I was eligible for the draft, so I became a soldier. I spent my time in the military a couple of years, and then I remember when I was getting out, I walked out of the reception hall and got in my car and drove through the night. And the next morning at 8 o'clock, I was in class at OSU. I had come home, and it felt really good to be back at OSU and to be home. Hooked up with Dr. Mark Shuffle, I became his graduate assistant. I earned a second master's degree in extreme learning problems and graduated in June of 1972. I went down to Western to get my administrative credential. So in the fall of '82, I had the good fortune to teach at OSU. And I remember driving to OSU and going to the education building, going up to Ed 201, where I had taken lots of classes in that classroom. And I walked in there as a professor, and I had to come home again for I don't know how many times I'd come home again. I was back on campus, and I was taught there for 6 years. You don't understand what it's like to be a Beaver and to be part of OSU. It was so instrumental in supporting me and helping me to find my way, find out who I was. And I say this with all sincerity, gave me personhood, which I had never had. That, gosh, you can be somebody. You are worth something. You are valuable. It's right here. It's in my heart, OSU. I can't say enough about the school. And I've always felt that I want to give back to that organization. Always a Beaver, forever.